Hey, thanks for joining us for another episode of Regenerative Inspiration. And actually, it's amazing. I met Erik a couple years ago. We were at a vid summit. It was where a lot of the big YouTubers were and go and share their secrets and things like that. And we just bumped into each other like right at the end of the show. And he has his own podcast. I happened to come in to Phoenix, Arizona, and I have thousands of contacts on my phone. So ultimately I was like, hey, who else might I know in Phoenix? And like, there's PHX. And I'm like, there's a bunch of people. I'm like, oh, Erik's here. And so I texted you yesterday.
Yeah.
I had no idea you actually had this going, but you have Cupid Soldiers podcast going as well.
Yeah.
You have a documentary going.
Yeah.
You have a story I had no idea about when we met because you did not tell me about that.
Yeah.
But we started.
Surprise.
Yeah. We started with a serious act of kindness because, my boy was, at that time he was 12. He was getting into YouTube and wanted to be a YouTuber like every other 12-year-old, but he was very serious about it. And I think I told you that for his birthday, he really wanted a dirt bike.
Yeah.
And, I let him know that, hey, there was this event coming up. I didn't tell him who was going to be there, but it was around YouTube. It was about education. It was about how to build like that momentum and strategies and the thumbnails. And it was like informative. You'd have to sit through all of it. Like he couldn't just go wander.
Yeah,
like,
this is YouTube school, basically.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so he took front and center, but he said this. He said, Dad, I want to go there. I can always buy my own dirt bike once this gets going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he was there, because he answered wisely.
Yeah.
But he sat in the front row, he didn't really take notes. But he recorded and stuff. And so, but he was right there, like listening to everybody. And then we met and, you were wearing a like prototype now, I found out, Mr. Beast hat. Yeah. Tell me about that.
Yeah. The Noggin Boss hats.
Noggin Boss. It's such a great name.
Yeah. Made by Gabe Cooper and company. I'm good friends with Gabe, and at the time they had been on Shark Tank, so they had proof of concept, and they were in the right hands, and they were pursuing the different licenses for NFL and NCAAs, and I had some connections with Vid Summit with a lot of the big YouTubers and influencers in that space, and I said, hey, let's make a couple of these. And I think we made 5 or 6 for Daryl, who runs Vid Summit. We made 5 or 6 for Sean, who runs Space Station Gaming. And we made 5 or 6 for Jimmy, who's Mr. Beast. And the idea was just to get them in their hands and introduce them to Noggin Boss. I didn't get anything out of it. I was just excited for one friend to connect with another. And I was so impressed with your son. At such a young age, he was so present, and he wasn't fangirling. Though he was excited to see some of these really big YouTubers, he was really present. He was really focused, and I watched him for 3 days, sitting in the sessions and just taking it all in, and I was so impressed by him. I was like, oh, I need to give you one of these Mr. Beast hats.
And he was pumped about it.
Yeah.
But then we left before you could.
Yeah.
And then what happened? I mean,
well, I texted you later that evening, and you guys had already left, and I'm like, shoot. Yeah. And my intention was, okay, well, I can always ship it. And got home, unpacked, and the hat sat in the closet for I don't know how many months it was. Yeah. And then I just happened to come across that text and was like, oh shoot, I think I still have that hat. And I did. And then I said, hey, can I send it to you? And it just happened to be around his birthday. Mr. Beast show on Amazon had just dropped, and it was like all the stars had aligned.
Oh yeah.
It was like meant to be
That's right.
delivered that way.
That's right. Yeah. And then that started this relationship because we knew each other, but like I had your phone number because of that.
Yeah.
But then you're saying, hey, I want to send this to your son because I told him, and for integrity purposes, I need to honor my word.
Right. Yeah.
And I told him that, like, this is why it's getting sent, because, things delay sometimes in life, but you can always come back and say, I'm sorry, I overlooked this. This is something. And it was
Yeah.
so, I mean, you didn't have to do that at all, but it was so cool and it was so meaningful. And like, he was so pumped. I know I got a video and sent it back to you.
Which was
and,
so
like,
cool. I was so stoked to get those videos, and I was sharing it with my wife, and my daughters were like, oh, they weren't as excited about it, but it was really cool to see his joy and to be able to fulfill, like, okay, this is my word. I'm fulfilling that.
It has a place of prominence in his room. So.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Which is amazing. But then that led us to, hey, let's have a conversation today. And then I found out some more things. I'm like, oh my gosh, let's peel back some layers of the onion.
Yeah.
Let's have this conversation because this is, I think it'll be a very fun one. And so stay tuned because I think this is going to be really interesting and it's going to touch your heart in a significant way. So, let's peel it back a little bit. So I know you've already said that audio engineer was like your third degree. So there's multiple things I don't know about you. Where did this Erik start?
I'm a serial college goer. I think I've been to 14 or 15 different colleges.
Okay. That's, I think, a record.
I just love learning. Yeah. And my undergrad is in graphic design. And then I went back to school for computer science when the internet started coming online. And I just had the foresight, like, oh, if I can get into that, I know I'll have I'll have a career for life, which has been true. And then went back to school for photography and video, and then went back to school to a different school. So Cal State Fullerton, UC Santa Barbara, then UCLA, then Berklee College of Music, and now I'm tinkering with the idea of maybe Harvard or MIT. They have some programs. One would be in the neuroscience space, and another would be in the AI space. And so I just love learning and investing in myself and regardless of how successful things might appear on the outside, I'm just never satisfied in the sense of there's new and exciting things to learn. Like you mentioned AI earlier.
Right.
And that if we can embrace it and use it in a way ethically, it's going to help us be way more efficient.
Yeah.
We'll be able to get 40 or 50x done in the same amount of time. And like with anything, there's going to be good actors and bad actors. However, if you're afraid of it and steer clear of it, that's not the answer either.
It's not.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a little bit of a double-edged sword because we know, like, there's been it's not going to take jobs. It's going to take jobs, but it's going to take certain parts of jobs that could make people much more efficient.
Sure.
Right. And so it's like, for us, I mean, we have, like, we're trying to line up a whole stack of technology for all the needs that our clients have, like whether it's for marketing, whether it's for video production. I mean, there's ways of, taking the role of junior editor and like knocking them out pretty much. But the senior editor role and the things like that are not compromised yet. Right. Now, can you create B-roll? Can you do different things like that? 100% you can. Yep. But you can make it efficiency in any industry with AI right now. Right. It's a little tricky because you don't want to give all your data over, right? So there's that privacy side of things. But if you program it the right way, and I think from a standpoint of like directions, like people that are good direction givers are excellent at prompting, right? And so then once they learn how to prompt it appropriately, how to lay down the foundation of what they're really looking for and how they can then leverage that tool. Right. I mean, you could put a, tool in somebody's hands and a professional is going to make it work really well and a non-professional is going to, slam their thumb. But I think that's, I think that it's here to stay. It's going to continue to move. I think we're going to be forced to adopt it. I mean, Google already is saying, hey, we have a $250 a month program that basically will probably turn into your full-time assistant and whatever else. I mean, you don't know what it's going to turn into, but it can really maximize some efficiency. So
Yep.
unfortunately, hopefully we don't turn into Wall-E, where we're all just
Right.
massive watching TV that
On
AI
our floating
created
chairs.
for us on our floating chairs with
That's feeding us
snacks
candy
fed to
bars,
us.
right?
Exactly. So there's got to be an intentionality
Yeah.
around not being that, but
Right.
if it can give you a little bit more leisure in your day and make you more efficient and keep you accountable to stuff, I mean, because that's what people aren't using it for.
Right.
Like, hey, keep me accountable every 15 minutes. Make sure I'm checking in and not scrolling through social media and not doing off here, or maybe I'm doing my workout program. I haven't set that one yet, but but I mean, what I'm saying, there can be a lot of different uses for AI that are beneficial.
Right, absolutely.
So,
I think about the same thing like that happened in the automotive industry a number of years ago with robotics.
Mm-hmm.
Robotics came along and people were like, oh, it's going to take jobs. It did replace some jobs, but it also created others.
100%.
Right? Because if that robotic arm goes down, somebody's got to fix it.
That's right.
So there's, for the guy that had that foresight to.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's right. Well, Charlie Chocolate Factory's dad, right? He had the toothpaste factory and he had to examine the things, and then he ended up fixing the machine.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
He lost a job and then got it back. What a great day.
Yeah. All in the same.
That's right.
All in the same 2 hours.
Exactly. So there, I know that we're always looking to inspire, innovate, things like that. What do you see innovation-wise on the near future?
Whew. I mean, AI has been a big part of every conversation. So I've created 3 different companies and a foundation, animation company, a film production company, and a record company. The animation company is up and running, and we're currently in development of an anime series. The film production company's been running for the last 3-4 years. And the record company is created on paper structurally. It's just not active. We haven't started hiring people and onboarding artists and stuff just yet. And it's interesting because I'm surrounded by a lot of artists and a lot of creators, and there's a lot of fear. I mean, we're looking at what's happening in Hollywood right now too. It's crumbling for a number of different reasons. The incentives, the tax incentives came, a day late and $1 short. The different strikes that have happened with the writer strike and SAG strike, and AI was a big part of that. And I think, like you said, AI is here to stay. Mm-hmm. And whether we like it or not, there are ways. The conversations should be, how do we leverage and use AI in an ethical way?
Right.
Where when we're training it on owned IP as opposed to stealing the IP and training it elsewhere. I still think there's a lot of conversations and perhaps some regulation around that might need to help guide us to get there. Yeah. There's still going to be bad actors. But what's interesting is the language. To me, AI and the language, because there's been so much fear propagated around it in the media, there's a stigma already with AI. I mean, look at iRobot, look at all just, we can go on and on.
We can.
And the thing is that we've been using AI for decades. CGI is AI. Yeah. It's computer generated imagery. Mm-hmm. Okay. So at the core of the definition of CGI, which nobody in the industry is going to say, oh, we can't use CGI. Well, you're using CGI on every blockbuster film.
That's right.
It's AI.
And now it's just getting better.
It's just better.
A lot better.
It's better. Yeah. And so I look at it the same way when the internet came online, as here's a great opportunity. Here's a great tool, and the smart people are going to leverage it
Yeah.
and figure out how to be good actors in that space.
Yeah, it's an interesting frontier right now, and I think there's a lot
Yeah.
of different opportunities. The thing that I think that is very interesting that's not being talked about is that you can actually utilize AI to level the playing field. You don't need 15 years of software engineering to
Right.
be able to jump in and start
Right.
creating an application that you could maybe monetize in less than a week.
Right.
I mean, that is happening right now. So when you're talking about opportunity, it is there. And unfortunately, like a lot of, we'll call it older people, are not seeing that because it's like, again, it's not their user behavior.
Right.
And so like
Right.
they think everybody's like them. And that is not true because I can guarantee you my son can adopt things much faster than I can, like, and get it, you know, and then the younger ones are getting even faster than that somehow. And they're not even using the devices at the rate like some of the other kids are. And it's
Right.
like, oh my gosh, it's like there's like this assumption that's happening that like they're just consuming it somehow in the ether because they're not really touching it. They just somehow know how to do it.
Yeah.
Which is like a whole nother, we can go to that level as well if you want. But yeah, there's a lot going on there. So
Yeah, that's interesting you bring that up because that was, so I have 3 kids, and my oldest, his name was Jacob, and I say was because he passed in 2019. When he was 10, because at the time I was working for Fox Sports, I had come home, I was in the application development department and coding and doing fantasy football products and all kinds of cool stuff. So I'm surrounded by a bunch of computer engineers all day, and we're just doing our thing. And I come home, and he's sitting in front of the computer. He's 10, by the way. And he's coding in the command line in Java, which is a pretty robust back-end computing language that you don't just randomly. And I stood behind him for what seemed like an eternity. And then I said, where did, I was kind of startled him, and he said, where did you learn how to do this? And he was like, I just got online and figured out, he did some Java tutorial. And at that moment, I was not worried about his success, his career. He just had this gift of, he go figure it out.
Yeah.
And we did find out a few years prior to that he was gifted. Like he was reading at an 8th grade level when he was in 1st grade.
Wow.
At 6 years old.
Yeah.
And so the school didn't know what to do with him, and we ended up homeschooling. This is a big long story, but and yeah, that was kind of my introduction to the younger. Now, he might have been an anomaly to some degree, which I do believe is the case. But even my other daughters they soak it up.
Yeah.
They figure they can get their minds around it a lot faster. It's pretty wild.
Well, and I mean, it's interesting with all the tools they do have. Like I'll watch, and my one daughter is not technical per se, but like she'll watch like a craft on YouTube, turn it off. She has no addiction to TV like the boys seem to, but like she'll go over and make it.
Wow.
Flat out. Like it's just like, you know, and it's a way that she ideates that way, and then she does it. So there's like this replication thing that's like she would have not gotten that in school. Like
Wow.
She would not, you know, like she would not be learning things that she can create or make or whatever. And
Yeah.
It's just a different scenario, right, on the creative side.
And I give you some credit for that too, because you're giving her the resources to be able to do that.
She does have a massive crafting table where she has all the utensils.
Right, like
that's
when
actually
she goes
from
to,
my wife. She has it's fully decked out. Although I've got her a lot of like colored pencils and all sorts of other
that's
stuff
cool.
because she loves art in general. But like she has access to a lot of things. But then she'll also go out in the woods, grab leaves, and make stuff out of leaves.
Wow.
That you know, because somebody made something out of a leaf or something, or she'll, I don't know. There's just things that, you know, she sees, and then that fosters the creativity to do it out of her own medium, right? So, and I think that's kind of the gifting of what we have with information technology today. So, but I will say with the boys, it's been a little tougher to peel them from technology. They want to be on it more than the girls, and I don't know if that's across the board or not, but from my personal experience. Yeah. Let's dig into this, okay? Because you know, I know you just mentioned your boy, and I had no idea that he had passed until today, or last night when you'd texted me, and I don't know what that feels like. I can tell you that in 2019, you know, my boy was at the STEM school in Colorado where there was a school shooting.
Wow.
And you know, I had been in an avalanche 2 months before that. I'll 100% take the avalanche like 20 times.
Yeah.
When you're not knowing what's happening, because you knew there's fatalities, you knew there's injuries. They wouldn't give you any information because of it's under investigation.
Right. Yeah.
The closest you can get is a half mile away. You're with you're crowded into big rooms with a bunch of other people that are all trying to support each other, but nobody knows.
Right.
And all of a sudden the buses start showing up and you're like, my kid's not on that one. You know, it's like, they're not on that one. And it's like, that's the only thing I can relate to.
Yeah.
But like to lose them for like ever is something that I've never dealt with. I don't even know how to broach the subject, to be honest. But
most people don't.
Tell me a little bit about it. I mean, because I know he was very gifted, and he had quite a few accolades at a very young age. And tell me about that a little bit.
He was really drawn to music, and we, like most parents, we wanted to give him resources to whatever, like expose him to sports and different kinds of sports and different kind of arts and different things, computers, skateboarding, and see what resonates. And he did play his share of video games, you know, like you mentioned, just being a boy, being on the screen. Though he was always very compliant. He was mischievous, and he liked to troll people for entertainment, but not hurt anyone. And he was very compliant. And when we would ask him to get off of the screen, he would, and come and eat and do the things, and just really loving and kind. And we discovered, basically, they had grown up in LA, which is where we were. And I was in the film and entertainment industry. And then we moved to Texas, to Austin, Texas, when he was 12. And his younger sister, the next youngest, was 11. And then our youngest daughter was 6. And so that's kind of a big move at a pretty critical time in their life.
Yeah.
And so it was going across the country and learning a new environment, learning new school, and we homeschooled for a while, and then we tried some charter schools and whatnot. And he just really started going off on the music thing. And he was producing music, unbeknownst to us, on his computer, creating all kinds of stuff. And it turns out he's 14 years old, and he was selling beats online, and he was making more money than we were. As a 14-year-old out of his bedroom.
And you had no idea.
And we kind of started getting a clue when random boxes of his favorite snacks were showing up. That we couldn't get at the local grocery store in Texas. Yeah. Stuff that he was used to from California or whatever. And it was like, oh, you got pop chips. Where'd you get money for that? And he was, I sold some beats. But it was, very nonchalant about it. And we're like, okay, cool. If you're paying for it,
doesn't matter.
No problem. Yeah. It's like, knock yourself out.
Oh man.
Sour Patch Kids, all the things. And then we found out that he was struggling with his mental health. And
what was a sign? What was something that you could notice or
um,
tell? Or?
Well, he didn't seem like he was pretty introverted. He had always been pretty introverted at home. Unless he would, when he was at the skate park, he would be really out of himself, and he was in these different environments. But for the most part, he was a pretty introverted kid. And I don't remember what the specifics were. I know we had caught him experimenting with marijuana. Like he thought he was being cute, blowing the smoke out the window upstairs, not realizing, well, the smoke's also coming on from under the door, and it's very potent.
It's like the hardest thing ever to get rid of the smell.
You can smell it a mile
Every rental
away.
car I get smells of somebody from 5 months ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
and so it was right around that same time. And we sat down. We didn't make a big deal out of it. We were like, hey, we understand there's maybe some curiosity. You're experimenting. We understand. We went through that phase. Just be open, right? We don't want you to do something stupid. And we noticed he was becoming more reclusive, and he had some counseling, and one thing led to another, and he got actually clinically diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and which he had a number of other conditions that we found out after the fact, and he was trying to self-medicate. And as time wore on, we would go to different. There was one facility we went to, was under the care of one doctor, and he was getting medication, and the medication was making him worse. And the solution was to double the dose. We were like, wait, did you not just hear he's saying it's making him more? You want to give him more, like twice as much. Yeah. And I'm not demonizing medically supervised medication, because it does work for some people. And unfortunately for him, it didn't. And he took matters into his own hands and was self-medicating with stuff that he was getting off the dark web, and or from friends around the neighborhood. And in the midst, so we did inpatient program, we did outpatient program, counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, everything you could possibly imagine. We tried. After the inpatient program, which was over 2 months, almost 3 months, it seemed like he was doing a lot better. And then right around that time, we moved to Arizona, which is where we are now. And that was when the time his career really started taking off. Like he had built a significant underground following prior to going in, and was actually having conversations with the likes of Sony Records and Atlantic and a few others. And then when he went in the inpatient program, he kind of went quiet, because you don't get your phone in there, you don't have outside contact other than the parental visits that we did every week. And so when he emerged from that, he created a lot of new music, and some of the stuff really blew up. Next you know, he's signing a record deal and then moving to LA so that he could be in the space to record and do all that.
So he moved to LA?
Yeah, he moved to LA. He was 17 when he moved. He was 17 when he signed.
Yeah.
But he was an old 17.
Yeah.
Right? Some people were looking
seems like it.
Some people would go, "Oh my gosh, you sent your 17-year-old to He was homeschooled for most of his education. So he was
independence.
There was there was
Yeah.
independence. There was a maturity
Mm-hmm.
on some things.
Yeah.
Obviously, the maturity on how he navigated this wasn't what it needed to be, unfortunately.
Right.
And everything seemed to be going well. He had a couple of issues here and there during the 6 months he was out there, but the last weekend that we had gone, which was the week before he ended up in the ICU, he was initiating. He was sober. Like he was dating. Like he was posting positive things on his social media. Like it really felt like he's turned a corner, and like I felt proud of, like, okay, you're doing the thing. You're being responsible. You're paying your bills. You're working your career, and then 4 days later we get the call that he's admitted to the ICU, and yeah, it was.
And what's that like? Because I had never experienced that.
Well, he had been. Here was the thing. So he's in LA. He gets admitted to the ICU.
You're in another state.
We're in now. It's only 6-hour drive.
Yeah, right.
Hour and a half flight. It's it's not that far.
You're going 130. It's a little bit. Yeah.
Well, he had been in the emergency room maybe 3 times before this.
Okay.
Where we weren't taking any chances.
Yeah.
A couple of times he was really high and acting erratic, and we're like, hey, if you're getting stuff illegally, you don't know what's in it.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays with the fentanyl and all that stuff. There's kids that are going to college for the first time, and they're trying something for the first time, and they're done.
I got that story. I mean, and
they're done.
You know, friend of mine, first time they ever tried something, boom.
Yeah.
Just, you don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't their first time, but it was the first time that they were aware of. But
yeah, and the former CEO of YouTube, her son.
Really? I didn't know that.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Freshman in college.
And it's like, why? I mean, I know they can cut fentanyl cheaper and whatever else and maybe get that, but the risk of the risk of death, like at such an extreme rate.
Setting aside the moral aspects of that.
Yeah.
Just from a business aspect of that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Why would you kill your customers?
Agreed.
Doesn't make any sense.
I've had this conversation a couple times. It makes no sense to me at all.
He didn't have any fentanyl in his system. It was just a bad combination of benzodiazepines and opiates. So those don't play well together.
Yeah.
Getting the call was rough. But there was some uncertainty because they wouldn't give us the full scope of what was happening over the phone because they don't know who's on the other end of the phone. Mm-hmm. So there's legal implications there. Right. But when they said you need to come, I was like, ooh, that's probably not good. Yeah. And it wasn't. And I'll give you a short story. Day one was Thursday when we got the call. We drive out. We're there. So he's intubated. He's in a coma. He's not responsive. They're doing a hypothermic treatment to him, which lowers the body temperature, which gives him a 30% increase of potential recovery. Yeah. But it just doesn't look good because his body's shivering. And so Friday morning, I pray. I said, God, you know what I want? I want my son to walk out of here. And if it's for the greater good and for your glory that you take him now, then so be it. But I wasn't surrendered. Like I wanted him to walk out of there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Friday comes and goes, and a lot of different things unfold. And Saturday morning, I pray the same thing. I said, God, you know what I want? I said, but if it's to your glory and the greater good that you take him now, then so be it. Still, Saturday comes and goes. Sunday, which was Father's Day of all days, And I prayed the same thing. That day was different. I had this weird vision when I was praying, and like everything was black, and there's just this beam of light coming down from top left down to bottom right, and there's just this gold dust floating in the beam, in the light. And I was like, what is that? And then the Spirit says to me, steward your suffering well. I'm like, okay. But when I got up that morning from that prayer, I was surrendered. And a peace that transcends all understanding had washed over me.
I just got tingles all over my body.
Yeah, I like, same. I words are insufficient to describe. And there was just a peace in knowing that whatever the outcome, it's going to be okay. Because if it is his time to go, then it's going to be for the greater good. And if it isn't, then he's got more work to do. And I realized that God was the one that was holding all the cards. And the doctors and all the nursing staff and everybody, as amazing as they were and are, they don't really get to make that choice.
Yeah.
Though sometimes they think they do.
Yeah.
And I've come to define the meaning of stewarding my suffering well is that I need to lean back into it as many times as possible so that perhaps in doing so it serves someone. And for the documentary, for the companies, so Cupid Soldiers was a name that Jacob had given his fan base because he really resonated. Like, we've raised him in a faith-based household, and though he found a lot of issues with the institution, he really resonated with the principles of love and kindness and patience and forgiveness and all of these things that we were doing our best to live out. And he wanted to continue to propagate that, but he didn't want to do it in a religious way, so he came up with Cupid Soldiers because he wanted people to fight for love. And this is a way to kind of illustrate that it's not really religious in any way. Yeah. And so to honor him and his legacy, I've created the companies in that same moniker. And I'm really passionate about carrying on the idea of continuing to fight for love. So, in all the forms that it shows up, and to serve people, and that's how I define what love is serving people through my suffering, and that's a way for me to love somebody else.
I've had like every emotion go through my body in the last couple minutes, and I just want to reach out, like hug you, and I know we're in these chairs, but you're getting a big hug in a minute.
Awesome. I look forward to it.
Oh, wow. And to reflect on that, and the response is godlike, the way that you have responded, right? In that suffering, to give back and make something like more beautiful than it could create a contagious destruction, right? Or it could be a moment where you're like, there's a reason I don't get it. I don't understand it at all. Because he has the ability to give them back or not, right?
Yeah.
And it's,
maybe
there was another reason why too. I don't know. We don't know that.
Right.
We
Exactly.
have no idea.
Yeah.
Maybe there was something else underlying. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's something that we can't picture, and maybe that's what we have to lean on too. But knowing that I've seen your heart and I didn't know that story, that makes this so much more meaningful, because like I saw that heart with my boy.
Yeah.
Like when I saw that heart.
Yeah.
And it was a sweet, compassionate, loving, kind, heart.
Yeah.
And that's what this world needs way more of.
100%.
Way more
Yeah,
of.
for sure.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like we need more and more of it every day, right?
Yeah.
But it's like that kindness and compassion, and that's why I started this podcast in the first place. This podcast, the idea of it started in 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, because of the avalanche, because of my daughter being born,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of the school shooting, because of my brother-in-law passing away from a cardiac arrest, like in his sleep, and there was a couple other events and stuff. Like, it was just like, I'm like, I need to capture people's stories of adversity, of
Yeah.
overcoming. And literally the day of the shooting, I was recording the first episode, so I had already gone into action to do it.
Yeah.
And it was somebody that had never come out on camera, and I haven't released that episode yet because I want to make sure it's okay with them, and maybe they'll do it again. But they literally announced to the world that they had been a CFO of a Fortune like 1,000 or 500 company or something like that, but they had been human trafficked by their family.
Wow.
And they had a 30-year career no one knew.
Yeah.
And they're like, I have to do something more about this.
Yeah.
I can't keep it in anymore. And they've done significant things since then. So it's almost like I need to do a recap of that. Cause I mean, time's flying,
Yeah. That's
things
interesting.
get in the way. There's excuses, there's reasons. And finally this year, I mean, we had COVID that threw a whole bunch of stuff off.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then you have to get over yourself go in front of the camera. I've interviewed thousands and thousands of people off camera. But on camera, I'm like, I don't know. Like, well, what if people don't like me? And it's like, I don't care. It's like if one person is impacted,
absolutely,
then it's been all worth it.
100%.
And
100%.
I know you feel the same way.
100%.
And so it's interesting. Our stories intertwine.
Yeah.
And I want to know more about the documentary that you're creating. And I want to know more about the different, we talked about a few things. One, I think that there are people that have lost their kids and they're still going through it.
Yeah.
So I'd like you to give them a piece of advice, because you somehow had just such a beautiful way of displaying that in your own heart in that moment. But I know that wasn't the end of it. Yeah. There's more. It's a continual battle, right?
It's day to day.
So
every
how
day.
To those that have lost a loved one, or not just a loved one, but a kid, it's different. I think, I've lost a sibling, I've lost a parent, I've never lost a child. And I can't imagine, because you would give your life for that child. Yeah. And talk about how maybe you've coped through that a little bit, and then I want to go into some other things.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is losing a sibling is a challenge, as I'm watching my daughter navigate what that looks like. I'm an only child, so I wouldn't have an idea what that. I'm sure the pain is just as great, and it's a normal part of life that we lose our parents, right? That's just the cycle of life that we're in. It's not normal to lose a kid. My wife ended up writing a book where she talks about the process that she used to really, which is called the GIVE principle. The title of the book's Beautiful Tragedy, and she was working on this program. She was a grief counselor and had many years of counseling and training, etc., and not realizing the very thing that she was developing at the time was the thing that she was going to need to get through the greatest tragedy that she's ever experienced. And I use it too. And the GIVE principle is it's grounding, it's intention, it's visualization, and what's the E? I always forget it's an acronym. Mm-hmm. And expressing gratitude is the E. Okay. Expression, and is a form of meditation or prayer, depending on what language you want to use. And for me, it was, as I illustrated earlier, the wrestling with God in prayer of, this is what I want, and I'm trying to relinquish and surrender. And that happens regularly. It wasn't just for that one moment. There are moments when a song of his will come on and I'll be a mess. And what I've learned is that it's okay to be in the mess. And it's also not okay to stay in the mess. Like I can cry and be sad, and that's okay, and that's actually part of our human experience, to feel all those things. And don't stuff it, and have a healthy community around you. And that could be just 2 or 3 people. Doesn't mean you have to go sharing all your stuff with, right? It's people that are trustworthy, that can hold up your arms, and I'm grateful for having that. I'm grateful for, and I think a lot of it is how I show up for other people, or how other people are going to show up for me. And that's true in this. I could sit at home and curl up in a ball and eat ice cream and watch Netflix, and no one's going to say anything. Matter of fact, a lot of people would expect me to do that because of what's happened. But I realized very rapidly that that's not going to help me, because I'll probably be 300 or 400 pounds from all the ice cream. And it's not going to help anyone else. Right. And it's realizing that there is a purpose in what I've gone through, and if I can serve and help one person, like you said, right? Just one person. Yeah. If like I've spent over $500,000 making this film, and extremely grateful for all the support, and the executive producers and the staff and the crew and we're in post-production right now, and we're telling his story. And every meeting, every time we're together, every production shoot, I'm always sharing that same thing. If this helps one person that sees it, then all of that effort, energy, resources, all of it was worth it. Yeah. And it's already done that. Yeah. And it hasn't even been released yet. Just the idea and how we're showing up in the space. And
well, so you at home that are watching this, whether you're in high school, whether you're a parent, whether you're something, but you're going through that, know that there are people out here that truly are trying to impact you and bring you hope, and just take you one step further and 100% reach out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think people just need to be said, like, people care.
Yeah.
People care. They love you, and you might not feel that or know that. You know, I had an episode where a lady had to depend on a complete stranger to donate a kidney. And that blew her mind, that somebody would give their kidney for her. Yep. You know, but
saved her life.
Saved her life.
Yeah.
But in the same process, their lives became intermingled in a beautiful way too. Yeah. Because they actually mentioned that they met the person who donated the kidney was supposed to be going on a blind date, like through some sort of something, and she said, I have to give my kidney, and that person found out who that person was. Meaning like, so the person that was the blind date found out the character of the person they were. Wow. And now they're married.
Wow.
So like that whole moment, like brought to them love as well. Like it's like the more you give, the more you get. Right. It's kind of a cliche type thing. But
it's true. It's true.
It makes you feel good to give. It makes you feel good to know that you're impacting and affecting people. Yeah. And I know this film will, 100% will. It's so needed right now. I know we had talked about some different things. Now, the film, does it go into some of the alternative treatments you were talking about?
What does it go into? Tell me
more about it.
So we interviewed a bunch of artists and producers that Jacob worked with, and some record label executives that that knew Jacob and that were part of his signing. And we interviewed 3 different professionals in the mental health space that are practicing in different modalities and with different philosophies. One, Peter Crone is more of a mental performance coach and has worked with A-list celebrities and high-level athletes. Not necessarily a PhD in mental health, however, very well connected in the mental health space, and the stories of success of his clients are undeniable. There's another career-long psychiatrist that we interviewed who's been practicing for over 50 years and has some very unconventional methods in the treatments that he provides for his clients that have healed unhealable ailments according to the medical record. Now he doesn't claim the
right.
healing.
Yep.
Yet somebody who had been institutionalized for over 40 years with schizophrenia in 6 weeks was discharged healthy.
Fantastic.
Schizophrenia is not curable.
Yeah.
And was out and had a job and was living his best life independently and had a relationship and
Wow.
from over 40 years being institutionalized. So there's some other things that, and then the third doctor is the psychiatrist and psychologist for the Diamondbacks, the Suns, and the Cardinals, and serves a lot of younger kids. I mean, I call them kids because even the professionals that are 30 are still kids to me.
They still act like kids sometimes,
well,
too.
Yeah. I'm the old guy now. But they're in this professional space, and they've got a lot of attention, and there's a lot of fame and notoriety that's coming their way, and these big paychecks that they've never experienced before.
Yeah.
And how does the pressures and all of those things, and it's a lot.
There's a lot of pressures.
And so because of who he's serving and how he's serving them, and I really resonate with his approaches as well. So three different elements, and the idea is that in one film, even if I just interviewed a bunch of different, I wouldn't be able to do it in a 2-hour span. Here's just a few in different spaces, and the hope is that you get the idea of just keep going. Just there's something out there that's going to work for you, and you will get better. Just don't give up. And there's a quote that I say in the interview in the film that says, "People are more worthy of our love than they are of our judgment."
Yeah, that's 100%. I love that. That should be an epitaph.
Yeah.
At like every church and every school and every mall. Like,
but how fast do people people are judging? Oh,
that's right.
There's a lot of negativity and it doesn't help. But imagine, like, just because, and a lot of times it's people they don't even know. Mm-hmm. They're passing judgment on people because they're overweight or they're this race or they're whatever it is. And imagine if people could love like that.
That's right.
Well, what if I could love and encourage that person even though I don't know them that well or at all?
Yeah.
That changes the world.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it was just today, we talked about a person who was in a meeting and all of a sudden, like, they were all of a sudden just typing a bunch of stuff. Right. And so but they're like, that's kind of rude a little bit. Right. But they were literally making 3 introductions to that person while they talked. So they didn't forget about it and they didn't do it. Right. So like if you were seeking out and trying to do like 3 things a day, that would help somebody else out.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden 10 people were doing it and 100 people were doing it, 1,000 people were doing it. You could go dump a bunch of ice buckets, great, okay, and get some views.
Yeah.
Go help 3 people a day.
Right.
You know, and don't put yourself in danger.
Sure.
But like, you can find something. You know, I love watching some of these shows on YouTube where they're like, walk up to a house that's like completely overgrown, and they're like, "Can I do your yard?" And like, what? They're all skeptical and stuff because nobody's done anything good for them. Right. Nobody's done anything nice, and we've done some nice things for people. And like, nobody's ever done anything like that for me. And I'm just like, that is a bad. Like, why? Like, you know. So I mean, yeah, I think if we could all commit to doing like 3 nice things a day. For people you don't know, it's easier to do it for your family and friends and stuff like that. Sure. Those are the gimmies. You do that anyway. Do 10 for them.
Yeah. I love the ones that I see these. They pop up in my feed pretty often where they're posing as maybe somebody that's homeless or has some kind of ailment, and then somebody will come by and help them. Right. And usually that person that's helping them really needs the help. Yeah. But they're
doing it anyway.
I remember seeing one where
but they can relate.
This guy was going into this pawn shop to sell his wedding ring so that they could pay for their electricity or whatever it was, and you know, you got like a couple $100 for it. Yeah. And yet he gave $20 to the guy, and then after the spiel, he got up. He was like, actually, he says, see that camera over there. He says, I'm actually not an invalid. Yeah. And because you stopped and were kind here, I don't need your money. And they turned around and gave him like $2,000, which, and he's just weeping. Yeah. And you know, some people will go, oh, you're doing nice things for the views or for this and for that, right? The judgment's coming. Yeah. It's like,
you still help. You still help somebody, and it motivated somebody else to help.
Can't we just let that go and celebrate that this guy, maybe that changed this guy's life?
Well, they're probably grumpy because they're convicted they don't do anything good for
somebody. Or they wanted the money and whatever. So there's going to be a critic for everything, right? Yeah. Even when we're doing something good.
Yeah, probably. Brought that up before. I'm like, you know, if they're not paying your bills and they don't live in your house, then who cares what they think? Right. Like flat out. Exactly. Like, it doesn't matter. Exactly. It doesn't matter at all. Like, so who cares? Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think more good is 100% what we need to do, especially in today's day and age. And I mean, who knows what we're looking at? Are we going into a recession, depression? Are we gonna kind of turn things back around? Are
the AI bubble?
Yeah. Are the news and media gonna turn a bunch of people against other? You know, it's that time. You know, so like we need to bridge those gaps, have communication, have good talks, be kind to each other, and you know, have those, like, literally, I think having a goal, like 3 people. How can I affect 3 people?
Yeah, that's simple.
It's easy.
It's easy.
Look for it. Yeah. It could even be just, you know, picking up trash like off of somebody's yard and put it in the trash can. Yeah. That's helping somebody. Sure. It doesn't take an extra 2 seconds, you know? Yeah. I mean, so yeah, there's those that are called for certain aspects of life that will go and work with maybe more of the undesirable folks that might put some other people in real, like, you know, might really push their boundaries.
Sure, yeah.
But, you know, push your boundaries. You know, it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Well, when you sent me the text earlier, and you told me what you were up to and the purpose of what you were doing, you know, and really sharing stories about overcoming adversity, I was like, I was 100% in alignment with that. And I'd like to hear what are some of those things that you're doing? Yeah. Like to your own horn a little bit, you know, like I'd love to hear like some of the difference that doing this and investing in the time and the resources to do this. I don't know if there's a lot of people that just watch these types of things and they don't really understand all that goes into producing it. Yeah. I do. So I honor you for that, traveling, producing the content, having the conversations, knowing that conversation is going to change someone. But beyond that, what else are you up to that you're changing the world in?
I don't know. I'll put it this way. So if you walk by an apple tree, you don't hear it grunting. So the fruit kind of naturally comes out.
Yeah.
So if I see something, I usually try to help if I can.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way. But yeah, I try to link these on with some other projects. So we have a project tomorrow that's here in Phoenix. So it's like with the costs and stuff. It's not like we get sponsors or get paid or whatever else. And there's no philanthropists behind us. It's us, doing it.
You are the philanthropist.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I'm driven to do more,
Yeah.
and I think that's part of it. And, I started out in healthcare and I saw a lot of patients and I affected people. And I found out early in my life that I needed, like, I was asked the question, what drives you? And what drives me is to see the flicker of hope in somebody's eye. And so sometimes you get sidetracked by doing business and different things and building things that, and you don't realize what you get to. But in reality, you have to be doing those things all along the way, even though you get sidetracked a little bit. Like this was supposed to start in 2019. Yeah. And so I'm like, I look back and I have regret that I'm like, I could have been 500 episodes deep or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? But if I don't start now, I won't have any episodes. Right. And so now it's been that commitment, and my team's awesome. They jump in behind and help stuff. I'm just like, I'm not a one-man band. I can't do everything. I can't do it all, and it's like, but they love it and they're behind the mission as well. Yeah. And it's funny because we have clients that reach out, and other, friends and family and things like that have reached out and given me words of encouragement for it, which is awesome because, you don't always like hear that, like, cause it's easy to like have somebody watch something and move on. And right. There's no comment, there's no like, there's no nothing, cause maybe they don't want to put their name on the line there, but it's nice to hear good things, And so, I mean, getting the stories, and I feel very called to really motivate leaders and aspiring leaders and entrepreneurs, because a lot of times it's very lonely. And right. And I think a lot of times there's reasons why they've gone through, why they're an entrepreneur, because they've gone through something, and maybe they're not coachable. Maybe they don't want to be an employee. Maybe they don't want to be told what right. to do, and they have to do something in their own way. Maybe they have ADD. Right, maybe they have some other things that we don't want to name or whatever. Yeah. But like it's to encourage leaders can also affect more. So if I can impact more leaders, then I can impact the people that they're leading. Right. And that can impact their community. And I think, when you get down to it, I think, from a healthcare standpoint, you think about like, if you have a healthy cell and then a healthy group of cells, you have healthy tissue, and you have a healthy organ, you have healthy organ systems, you have a healthy body. Right. But then you have a healthy body interacting with another healthy body, you have a better relationship, and then you have a healthy family, community, neighborhood, right. business community, like the bigger communities right. around. So like if we can start impacting one at a time, and it starts to get contagious, and I think there's more and more people feeling that same urge and call that we will have like a healthy community. And it doesn't matter what comes out of healthy community or healthy body, because disease and sickness is all around us. You just don't get it if you have your immune system up and if you're healthy, right? So it's like, that's what we need in our life, in our culture, in our family, in our business. Yeah. So that's more of the driving purpose of what it is. So that's the more. So what else will happen? I don't know. Yeah. Like tomorrow's a new day. Yeah.
I love that.
No regrets though. That's
exactly. Yeah.
It's a good thing. So anything else you want to share? I mean, you got me like almost crying here, so I'm crying inside sometimes and laughing too. But
I've mastered that art of that, right? He's laugh on the
Chief
outside.
Crying officer, come on.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, where can people find? You're about to release. You're about to do some press releases, and I had no idea, but like we should probably hurry this edit up so we could actually get it out there in time for your launch.
Yeah,
but, where can they find the documentary? The website, like if people wanted to donate to this or had more stories for round 2, what happens there?
Well, you can find us on Cupid Soldiers Films or Cupid Soldiers Records, Cupid Soldiers Animation. For the film itself, the film is called 2 Weeks Notice, because he was in the ICU for 2 weeks, and it was as if he was like, he knew he was going, but we got 2 weeks notice to be able to spend time with him and share the things. And so at the number 2 weeks notice doc is the social handle for Instagram, and his artist name was Hella Sketchy. So his music's on all the platforms. A lot of his fans know about the documentary, but outside the scope of that, we've started a billboard campaign called Who is Hella Sketchy that's running right now. It'll run for probably through the end of the year into January, and then we'll go quiet for 60 to 90 days. And then at that point, we're starting to submit the film into film festivals for the first half of the year, and we'll likely have distribution for streaming, which will likely happen in the fall of 2026. Okay. So yeah.
Awesome.
That's all the things.
Well, we'll have all those links and everything for everyone to take a look at, for sure. But you've touched my heart today. I mean, it increases our motivation. I think hopefully I've done the same for you.
Absolutely.
Because we'll keep encouraging each other as well.
Yeah.
Because, this is sometimes a little lonely path. It's nice to have like the little posse and crew around you and team and and others that become the cheerleaders in some way. Yeah. Because, it's not always easy to keep going, I think both of us have a pretty good drive, so I think we'll make it. I mean, you're going to have 14 or 15 more degrees soon, so we'll
right. Yeah. I mean, who knows? Yeah.
We'll create some AI things that, can help nurture people along. That would be pretty awesome. Yeah. I mean, there's all sorts. I mean, there's so much innovation happening. And I hope, maybe from this it spurs an idea. Hey, I could create an AI agent that could be a nurturer to people that are feeling this way, so they have a friend. Right. I mean, I think that's already happening in some ways, but as awkward as that seems, I think that could be actually a very authentic relationship.
It could be beneficial in some way. Yeah.
Right? So I mean, maybe that's a stepping stone to somewhere. Yeah. So I think there's no replacement for human touch and human interaction, and I think that's where there's going to be massive more industries. Well, I shouldn't say massive more industries, but there's going to be a massive impact for industries in the future for those that can create authentic human connection. Right. I think that's going to be very important. Yeah. And as we know, it's like, we talked about just suicide rates in general, like going up in every corridor. Yeah, I was just in New York City 2 weeks ago. And there was a monument there where you can walk up it. Well, guess what? They have it cordoned off now because people were jumping off. And
what monument was that?
It's right down in Hudson Yards. It's
the Edge.
The Edge. Yeah.
I was just there.
Where it's the one where you walk up.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
the Edge.
Yeah, it's in the Edge.
You can walk up.
In the courtyard, right next to the Edge.
You can still do it, but they shut it off at night, so you can't get up at all at night. And then I think they've encouraged people to not necessarily walk it, but take the elevator or something. I can't remember what it was. Wow. So I'd have to find out exactly. But yeah, I mean, it was because that was starting to become a thing. And actually even at the World Trade Center, they had that roped off at night too, because who knows, maybe people were jumping in the hole. I don't know. Yeah. But when people lose money, when the people lose relationships, when people go through things that they don't think are going the way they're supposed to, that when their path changes, sometimes it's devastating because that's what their identity has been rooted in. Right. And you need to know that your identity isn't rooted in that we live on this path and this journey of life, and that there's another curve. There's something around the bend. There is relationship. There's peace. There's love. There's joy. There's people that care.
There's purpose. There's a friend of mine, Kevin Hines. We've become friends on Instagram. He's a massive advocate for mental health. He actually attempted suicide when he was 19 years old off the Golden Gate Bridge. Wow. And has there's a documentary about the bridge and them creating some kind of barriers and stuff that can help stop that. But he is so full of purpose and joy and encouraging people. Like, his story's crazy because he had broken a bunch of bones when he hit the water, and a seal had pushed him up to the surface so that he could
he
get
jumped
air.
off and survived?
He jumped off,
I never knew that.
broke a bunch of bones. Like, he wasn't able to swim.
Yeah.
Because the condition he was in,
into cement.
and a SEAL had brought him up to the surface so that he could breathe.
Wow.
And a Coast Guard just happened to be coming by, and so he was rescued. The way he tells the story, like in three different. It was miraculous.
Yeah.
And clearly, he's supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for him. I'm grateful to just nurture a relationship because we're in that same fight together.
Yeah.
And likewise,
Yeah.
you know, the things that we're up to are trying to make the world a better place. And if we're making that effort and we're making that commitment and we're doing that with our time and our resources, it's going to be that.
Yeah.
And so thank you.
I love it.
Thank you for reaching out.
Yeah.
Thank you for what you're doing. How can I support you?
Well, it's a good example right there, though. If I wouldn't have reached out, this wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's a lesson right there. You got to reach out. If you don't
Yeah.
pick up the phone, don't call, don't text, don't, you know. I mean, it would have been easy to say, I'll be good. I'll be fine. But this was such a rewarding conversation.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's nothing at the moment, but I love that you were here and open and willing.
Yeah.
And we'll keep in touch on that one. So
Yeah. Let me know.
yeah. Well, for this episode, Regenerative Inspiration, hopefully you got a couple tears. Hopefully we brought you up. Hopefully you know there's hope and there's another step that you can make, and that you know, life is amazing and precious and awesome, and there's people that care for you. And I want to thank you, Erik, for doing this, and then also Cupid Soldiers. And so follow that. It's a podcast. Are you YouTube, I assume?
Yeah, we're launching the
links.
podcast after the film gets
Okay.
released. So
We'll put up the link
that'll
anyway.
be in the
and,
future.
you
Yeah.
know, for those that jump in later.
Yeah.
So, but thanks, and until next time.